coming to you live. So glad I'm able to catch up with you. Did not want to cancel today's podcast, even though it was a little late that I had to jump. Make sure that I jumped on here and said hello and talk to you guys about a very important topic that I've been asked many questions about. So I'm going to do my best to answer some questions. By all means, as always, I encourage you to do your own research, encourage you to figure out what's right for you, and also always encourage you guys to ask questions. Do your own research, message me. I just touch on these subjects, and I wish I can talk about them more extensively. And I do get to in my groups and in my one-on-ones. And so if you guys are interested in that, please shoot me a message. Let me know you're interested in sessions, individual sessions, you name it. We have it all available. So I have been running around, traveling, having a great time, visiting some important people in my life, but wanted to make sure I'm also here with my important people at the end of the screen. So thank you for hanging out. So our topic today is about spiritual awakenings. And I know a few people are very confused about what that means. And I can say that it means a different thing to different people. So there isn't one set definition, but I'm going to talk a little bit about different characteristics, different emotions you may be having, different thoughts, different ideas. And then we're going to kind of pull together a few things because I know that for some people, they become a little confused as to what it means to have spiritual awakening. So depending on who you ask, they can give you a very broad, strict definition of what it is. I'm going to keep it simple. We can talk more extensively about what that is, what it is to you, but we're going to start asking you guys a few questions to help you determine whether or not you feel like you are experiencing one. Okay? If we do that, it's very important for us to keep in mind that each of us are on our own journey and that we have quite a few things happening in our life. So it's not just set to one person and what this person believes, what their opinion is. You have to kind of look at it as a group and figure out how you can identify with, again, different definitions or explanations. So a simple way of keeping it is to ask yourself, if you're starting to kind of question, let's say, your existence, right? Why am I here? What's the purpose of life? I don't believe the things that they told me to believe. I have a lot of questions. I feel like I'm like simply just existing. I feel like a robot. Is everybody else in the Matrix, right? So I don't know if you guys had a chance to watch the movie The Matrix, but it talks about somebody who was kind of pulled away from the reality and let them know that they were living in some type of simulation. So a lot of people recommend watching that movie. There's a lot of action, a lot of stuff on there, but you kind of start questioning your surroundings and your purpose. Now, a lot of us do kind of question our purpose in life, but this is a little more in depth where you kind of start wondering if what you believe is real. You start asking where you came from. You pretty much start questioning every belief system you have, and you feel happy, you feel scared, you feel confused, and then you're happy again. And then you just kind of go through all these different emotions. So to say that you are going to be in one particular emotion for a certain amount of time is a lie. I know there's a lot of people that say when you have an awakening, you're freaked out, and then within a couple of weeks, you're fine. That is not true. First of all, we're all different. We all process information differently, and we all look at our own reality very differently than the rest of us. Like none of us has like this cookie cutter way of living. So I think it's unrealistic to expect people to think that they have to fit under this one definition. So depending on where you are in life, when you have what's called a spiritual awakening, you literally start questioning just a whole bunch of stuff. And certain things that would make you happy, certain people that make you happy in the past, it kind of seems like it happens overnight. But I think it's within a period of time that things kind of start chipping away at you and you kind of start daydreaming more and really just starting to question what it is you're supposed to believe in, what you're supposed to pursue, what you're not supposed to be pursuing anymore. And it just feels like a very uncomfortable pair of shoes at times, or very uncomfortable set of jeans. You get to choose what clothing you'd like to relate to, but it could be a bit challenging for a lot of people. The reason why I like to talk about these type of subjects is because sometimes we're so lost that we pretty much just run to everybody or anyone because we're so scared and confused that we just want answers. And there's a lot of information out there. There is a lot of misinformation, and then some information is accurate. So I'm going to ask each of you to just set the intention that if you need support, that you are going to ask for the right people to be sent your way to help guide you. But I also want you to use discernment, not just because you ask that, one person shows up and you think that's the answer to a prayer, to a request, that you're supposed to believe what every person says. So even though it's a confusing time, you are still very wise, because a lot of people who wake up into this spiritual kind of shock, they are people that have been looking for answers. You just don't wake up one day and say, oh my God, I had an awakening, right? Well, at least that's what I thought had happened. But for the majority of my life, I had a lot of questions. I really needed to understand why things worked the way that they did. And so little by little, I started kind of breaking out of whatever my belief systems were. And I started questioning everything. Like, I could not get full. I literally needed to be fed, and nothing quenched that hunger or that thirst. So I did start doing my research, and I would, set the intention and say, God, please help me find a person who can help me find a group or a person that can help direct me in the way that I need to be directed, in the way that I need to be supported, so I can understand what's happening to me. Because that's what it feels like something's happening to you. And you could take a nap, you can wait a few days, you can eat, you can drink, you could do everything, but it doesn't go away. It's time for you to wake up and start questioning your reality. Question whether or not it is real to you, or if it's a facade you've been living in. So I had my spiritual awakening back in 2017, and I was talking to a friend, what month was it? What year? And so she pulled out a picture that she had taken, and it was November 2017. And I hadn't really thought about the date, but today I was going to share a little bit about my experience, and I thought it'd be important for you guys to kind of have a time frame. I don't know, just felt like I should. But so it was a very rude awakening. I was very fortunate. I was at a training, and I just started questioning my full existence. So I know those of us, we do it periodically, but there was no way of having just one answer to my many questions, right? So it kind of started to freak me out a little bit, because I didn't know that what I believed in was the accurate belief system for me at that particular time. So it had served me for many, many years. And at that point, it was like, yeah, no, I'm just not okay with these answers anymore. They served me for as long as they did, but I have more questions. And that my belief system at that time didn't answer the questions that I had. So for a long time, I thought that questioning belief systems was a sin. It was bad. It was a no-no, and you just don't do it. But I would always go back to, if God didn't want me to have all this curiosity, he would have never allowed it to pretty much be wired inside of me. And you'll have people that say, no, you're veering away from the right way, but it didn't align with me. And I did believe that my spirit wasn't resting, because I needed to have more answers. So I went ahead and started experiencing things on my own and asking questions. And I was very fortunate. I share a little bit about Lori in my other podcast, or here with our healer practitioners, that she was the perfect person for me. I was at a training. I was doing a lot of energy work and healing. We were doing hypnosis and stuff. And then something just kind of opened my eyes, holy crap. There is more to life than what I was led to believe. And I am not going to lie to you, it is a very scary journey, because nobody can give you the answers. This is when you literally start digging within yourself to find those answers. And that you again ask to be aligned with the people that aren't going to just come along and give you their belief system, but they're going to nurture you. So you're like this little seed in this brand new, chunk of soil. And the goal is to find people that can help water it. They can help water you, that can help, answer questions as best as they can, but never telling you to believe what they believe. So I think that would be the number one flag that I would ask you guys to be aware of, that if somebody comes along and starts giving you answers to your questions, just giving them to you, and you're kind of like, and then you want to put it in your pocket and live with it. One, I don't think your spirit will let you do that. Two, I think we become very fearful that we want it to be the answer, to at least have something to hold on to. But I know that your spirit won't let you hold on to it if it's not valid, if it's not your truth. So there could be people that can explain more or less the experience they had. And then you have to decide which of that information or how much of that information is going to align with you and is going to start being your truth. Now, it doesn't mean that that truth is going to be truth for you forever. So I find that when you start, allowing yourself to believe different things or to be fed differently or to be okay with allowing yourself to have previous belief systems, that's when it starts to change for you. And so there have been many people that have had this experience and they kind of leech on to other people. And there are other leaders that do pretty much train people to believe the way they do. Because, for a lot of people, they think that numbers, followers is going to be what makes them credible, right? And there is no judgment. Again, there are various teachers from various walks of lives. And my concern is just that you find the right one for you, that you have the support, that you're allowed to feel like you're free, that you're not following somebody's teaching just because you're scared and you need something to hold. Let me tell you that through this journey, you'll have many mentors come in, and many mentors will serve you for a chapter or 2 or 3, but you may not be with them for a long time. So my goal is that you're empowered in such a way that you hold on to people or be in their company or whatever for as long as you need to, but it doesn't crowd your mind enough not to have space to welcome in new information. So I hope that makes sense to you guys. This is a very sensitive subject. I was actually speaking to a friend, and we're already talking about having a continuation, like a part 2 to this podcast, just to bring her in, and that would be Lori. She was my mentor when I had my spiritual awakening, and I'm so grateful to her. There have been many times where I wonder how far I would have gotten if she didn't hold my hand. So I understand the importance of having a mentor to help you understand what the hell's happening. And I don't want to instill fear, but I also do want to be very honest with you, because I know there's a lot of people experiencing this right now, and you're scared to speak up. You're very fearful. This is different. There might not be somebody in your circle that understands what's happening. I know I did not have that in my circle, and I had amazing friends and wonderful family. But when I had my spiritual awakening, there wasn't anybody that I knew that I can ask questions to. If it was somebody in the church or a friend who had a certain faith, I knew that going to them, they would have seen me fearful, and they would have just tried to comfort me with their belief systems. So I know, and this is why I know that when this happens to you, you're not going to be okay with just any answer. You're going to want to find different people, different answers. Does this shoe fit? Does this not? How do I feel about this thing? And you literally have to customize the person that you need. And the person that's going to give you the most support is going to be the person that's going to allow you to try on different things, shoes, coats, whatever you want to call them. They're going to be okay with it. Another flag I would ask you to really pay attention to is that if somebody challenges you, if you want to believe something and somebody wants to convince you not to, that's also something you have to look at. There is a lot of ego in every belief system. I thought that when I had my spiritual awakening, that people that were on this side that woke up already, we're all going to be this lovely, fine, awesome people because we're all looking out for the same thing. And that isn't the case. And call me naive, but I really felt like when I was a kid and I go to church, I thought that all people at the church were going to be these amazing people and my BFFs. And then, you find out there's different personalities, there's different styles, there's just a whole bunch of different stuff. So it kind of made me wonder why I thought that once I had my, spiritual awakening, I assumed that people were going to just all want to, hold hands and sing kumbaya, but that's not the case. So I would love to tell you different, that, everybody is going to be out for your best interest, but they're not. You'll have a lot of people that kind of use that against your growth for, whatever reason, empowerment, feeding their ego, feeling like they need to have, a little posse to follow them, a groupie or whatever you want to call it. I don't know if it's intentional, but that's just the way it works out, in my experience. And also in many people that I've, been able to work with, I have had a lot of people come to me after there's been a lot of damage done to them, because they tend to put their faith in the people who don't have their best interest at heart. So I kind of want to talk a little bit about flags, because I understand the desperation that comes with just screaming for help. I have people call me like, help me, I need to raise my vibration. Help me, I don't want to be left behind in this old earth. So I know that they've heard snippets of what people are sharing, but they're taking things out of content. And that's why I know a lot of things have been intentional. I know that when I first started going to church or whatever, there was a lot of fear based. And I'm not going to say they do it on purpose, but I think that's kind of, what people are being fed is things to kind of make you fearful to jump into their church, their belief, their cult. I mean, there's everything, you guys. It's not one particular spiritual group. It's just unfortunately a norm in this world of duality. And we can't sit here and blame other people and be mad about it. Like, all we can do is empower ourselves to be guided and led it into the direction in which really needs to be nurtured. So this is why I'm more empowering you guys to find your own truth and to find your own answers, and to support you along the way, but never telling you what to believe, never telling you what to do and what not to do, but kind of help you tap into your own energy to feel, whatever is right for you, and wherever you need to go to be mentored, whatever information, and to help you feel comfortable in asking these things, because there's many people that'll make it feel like it's taboo to even ask questions, and I had people tell me, oh, God's a jealous God, you shouldn't ask questions, or, you should know better because it's in the scripture. But what I found is a lot of the things that people aren't reading in scripture align with the belief system of having the spiritual awakening and believing differently than what the church is teaching you. I don't know what church or denomination you belong to. And I'm not saying people are misleading you on purpose. I just think a lot of us aren't asking questions and fear that we are betraying God. And I had a lot of experiences with people that really loved me, and I know that they were just trying to protect me, and there's no ill, and I'm not mad at anybody, because I know that they were doing their part to try to help me, but I was completely lost at one point in my life. And so I have a heart for those people that are searching for their truth. And, I've had people from different walks of life, different religious backgrounds. I don't say I'm services, belief system. So I kind of set the intention and I say, hey, whoever's supposed to fight me, I'm going to just be here doing my thing. And I'm all about, empowering you, again, to find your own truth, whatever that may be, whatever it is that aligns with your particular purpose, whatever it is that you're being called and led to do. And there's a lot of people who have already had, the spiritual awakening. And depending on who's helping mentor them, they start, making fun of people who are still, what are they called, sleeping chiefs, something you're going to hear a lot. And it's pretty sad to see that as well, because there will be people that have had a spiritual awakening, so that in air quotes. I do believe that once you have one, you're a little more sensitive to humanity. You're mad because you felt like you were sleeping and somebody, threw a blindfold over you. But, you decided to take it off. And with that, sometimes I tell people, some people are okay with being led and not knowing truths and just kind of going along with the flow. There are people that are okay, because for them, the less they know, the less they're responsible for. So you'll be surprised how many people are okay. And we talk about it on this podcast. They're okay with not changing their lives because, life is okay the way they know it, and they don't want to put in the effort. They don't want to be questioned. They don't want to feel like they don't know what to do next. So, for whatever reason, you guys, whether it's right or wrong, it's not for us to decide. So there are these group of people who have had already their awakening, and they start speaking very poorly about humanity. Oh, they're just being ruled and they don't know what they want. And the first thing I try to, help them remember is at one point they didn't know about this awakening, and they too were also sleeping. And I always ask and said, how do you expect to help people awaken and step into their own truth if you're too busy judging them? So for those of you who have had a spiritual awakening, I'm going to ask you, what are you doing to support people who have not had theirs yet? Because talking mess about them, right? Judging them or acting like you're superior to them is not what people want to look forward to. So if you're not leading as an example, to help mentor people that are awakening right now, please, please, please do not add fuel to the fire. Encouraging you to first heal yourself, because we all have a lot of healing to do. If you find yourself judging people, I want you to look at yourself in the mirror and ask yourself why. What is it about those people that are triggering you? Because we talk about how when people trigger us, they tend to be a mirror. So before we go off and start judging people because they're sleeping and because they're these sheep that are just being controlled or whatever, first remind yourself of what that was like for you. And what kind of mentor would have you wanted to help you in your awakening? And I'm also going to ask you if you can get closer to becoming a mentor instead of somebody who's constantly judging other people or feeling like, you're being empowered by talking about those people, And it's hard to believe, because when you are on this journey of spiritual awakening, you're constantly looking to grow and learn. And knowledge is one thing, but healing is what's important. I believe that we awaken to be aware of our own wounds and our own patterns and our own behaviors that we are engaging in that are not healthy. And I do believe that we're setting the example for those people. That helps determine whether or not they're going to ask us to help them on this journey. And I also believe for not being what that looks like, that people just don't want to share that they are having these experiences. And now they're left to their own devices and whatever negative patterns they may be repeating, or they do lead them in air quotes, but not always in the best direction. So think about how we have you to literally sit with yourself and ask, would you want a mentor like you? What type of people would you help to lead? And what would be some of the characteristics, right? And are those characteristics something that you possess? So that's kind of my 2 cents on those of you who have already experienced this awakening. I always, just like when I had, so much anxiety and depression and everything, I know that even though I've healed up those parts of me, that when I help people, I don't forget where I came from. And I really believe that helps me mentor people in a way where I can literally put myself in their shoes, go through the emotions. There was a lot of pain, a lot of hurt, a lot of devastation and letdown, judgment towards myself especially. And that kind of kept me stuck in a weird quicksand. Happens when we're looking back and at other people, instead of looking forward and building, whatever pathways we need to, whatever staircases that we need to start constructing to help allow people to go through a path that we've kind of already helped pave for them. Because a lot of people are really looking for somebody to mentor them. So please look at your own life. Think about what you can do to help in this raising of consciousness. And that's another topic that comes up. And when I say, raise your vibration in consciousness. So consciousness is all of us, right? If we're too busy fighting, comparing, and judging, the consciousness stays in what we call low vibration. Just call it a low volume, right? So the goal is to get to a higher consciousness, and more of us that are in a higher consciousness, which means you're healing and working through your trauma and like not making excuses anymore. You raise the vibration of the collective, which is all of us in our own consciousness, right? And we're going to talk more about what that is. But once you raise this consciousness, this love for people, this love for our home, this love for humanity, there's a different communication that comes in, one of hope, one of manifestation of greater things, one of more love and abundance and a whole bunch of awesomeness. But if the consciousness is not in agreement and we're fighting and there's discord, it's very difficult to raise the vibration and bring in that love that we need for the planet, because we're too focused on our differences. So I know now more than ever, the energy of this planet is changing so much that we need all hands on deck. More people love healing. And even though a spiritual awakening, you guys can feel so scary and you can feel so lost. That's the beginning of you being aware of your mission, right? You actually came to help do that. And I remember I had met people, when I had my awakening in 2017, and there was people that had been awakened for years, and I was so angry, and I'm like, why didn't I wake up sooner, And my amazing mentors were like, you wake up when you wake up, when you're ready to do the work. And I mean, they were like, you've been on fire ever said. Oh my gosh, because I'm so nosy and I want to know. But I do believe that all of us wake up when we're supposed to, because that's when we decide to kind of take up our torch and start working towards, raising the collective. But you can't do that if you're not raising your own. So I think that we kind of get it twisted in thinking, oh, I woke up to help humanity. And honestly, the question should be, you woke yourself to set an example, show you what that's like, right? So you didn't wake up when you're supposed to save everybody. No, you woke up to your own wounds, right? To your own, being. And I was wounded, even though I was helping everybody and trying to save the world. I shared with you guys that I would put myself in the backseat and I was backwards. So it wasn't until I had that awakening that I was like, oh my gosh, this is what this means. Oh, I get it now. And I had to pull through, some weeds, and I had to pave my way, and it was scary again, and it was, not as easy, because at the time I was making it more complicated than it needed to be. And now I'm like, oh my gosh, we just need more mentors, because we worked hard, but it doesn't mean you have to, right? You can literally just manifest somebody to come and support you during this process that'll kind of help you with the blueprint. And once you have, it's a lot easier, you guys. There's already ways that have been paved for you. So please don't be alone in your awakening. Don't be fearful, because we're out here to love and support you. And yes, I've heard some crazy stories of how this has taken place. I myself have a lot of crazy stories. So if you're fearful that you're going to be judged for sharing your story, please attempt to put that to the side and give yourself an opportunity, because I guarantee there's a lot of us out there that can totally relate to your story, to your fears, to the reasons why you haven't said anything sooner. So set the intention to, reach out to the right people in your own perfect timing. And I'm highly encouraging you guys to be the cheerleaders that you need, be the advocates that you need for yourself, because we really do need that. When this happens, you guys, there are a lot of DNA changes that take place in your life. You have wounds not just for yourself, but for your generations, the generations before you. And that can get, a little complicated or scientific, but those are things we can write. We have a whole bunch of DNA strands. I believe it's 12 or 13 of them. And they say 1 or 2 are functional, the rest are junk DNA. And I'm here to tell you, it is not junk DNA. That there's a lot of stuff that are going to be activated in you energetically, spiritually, emotionally. And once you have the awareness of these, oh my goodness, you guys, the paths that you can take just begin to be so much more amazing. You understand your purpose a little clearer, even though it could be confusing at first. The way right now, it's the way it's shifting is in a way where it can support you. And you don't have to work as hard as if you would have woken up 10, 15 ago, shoot, even 5 years ago, because all of us that have been awakened for working hard to awake. So it's pretty much, automatically embedded into your DNA. You have the ability to do that. So it's a beautiful, I know it starts off feeling a little awkward, a lot of uncertainty, but it gets a whole lot better. And when you're in a tribe of people who are committed to your growth and your love and your understanding, it's very different than trying to go through this on your own. And even though that it is a journey of your own, there is a lot of support to identify just what that is for you. Because again, we all have a different calling. There is a different mission. But first it is to heal yourself. I'm really big on you guys first taking care of you before you start people, because once you take care of you guys, you already have a roadmap. And people love to follow guides that know where they're going. I know I did. And I want to be that guide. I want to be able to show you where to go. But there is no way I could have ever done that if I didn't allow myself to process my own wounds, to heal my own layers, and to continue to heal, because I strongly believe that the healing never ends. It gets a lot easier and it gets a lot faster. And we start literally training our own brains and body to do it for themselves. So again, there are so many different things that we can do now to expedite the healing process. Creating my little tribe. I have clients that, have gotten together. We have started groups. We have a book club every month that we get together in and spend 2 hours a week talking about the book, but also about how we're going to apply it to our lives, how it can help us heal. And beautiful relationships have been built on those gatherings. Individual, again, appointments are also available to nurture you and to help you grow and to help answer any questions that you may have along the way. There are a lot of symptoms that come throughout this journey. It's not just physical, emotional aspects that need to get taken care of through this process. You have a lot of spiritual things that take place, right? Your physical body does also go through a few changes because it's learning to bring in new codes that are being released through the energy, and you'll have a better understanding of what that looks like. So it's very important to have all these bodies in place and to nurture each one as things are changing in your life. Friends, family, all that stuff starts changing as well. It's very hard for them to support you because they don't know exactly what you're going through. And like I mentioned, even though I had friends and family that loved me, they didn't understand how to support me the way I needed the support. And it was not because of the lack of trying. It was not because they didn't love me enough. They just didn't have the roadmap that I needed. And that's what's super important. I'm hoping to get on here next week, if not later this week, to talk more about this. So if you guys have questions, please feel free to message me. If there are things that we need to talk more about in an additional podcast episode, please let us know so we can know what to cover. I myself will start writing down some notes of common questions that have been asked or scenarios to share with you guys. But I mean, I would love for you guys to be on here. If you have already had an awakening and you'd like to be a support to these people out, I would love to hear from you. I would love to hear your story. Also, for those of you who have been awakened, I want to share with you that there's a second awakening happening. As crazy as that sounds, I think that we are all being activated for an additional awakening, for trajectory changes that have been happening very recently. There's a lot of things changing energetically on the planet as well. I also have another podcast with a really good friend of mine. She's also another practitioner at the Empath Toolbox. It's called The Blueprint. And I think we're on episode 5 right now. So I believe we're on Spotify. We're also live, or actually the podcast is broadcasted on Friday. So if you need more information, I can direct you there. I can also post it here on the Coach Velia Facebook and YouTube. So let us know where you are. This is, again, a second awakening. We'll talk more about that. Or you can actually follow the Blueprint podcast, because that is already something we've started. And I know for those of you that are having what I believe is a second awakening, you're already experiencing different symptoms. There's a lot of changes happening. So let's come together and support each other in this, what feels like crazy time, but I honestly believe it's a necessary one. It's shifting us in a way where we are being called to new assignments, not just kind of the whole 5D. It's way bigger than that. Way bigger than that. So I'm going to encourage you guys to reach out, to listen to this podcast, to ask any questions, to stay focused on you and your healing. I promise that will never lead you astray. When you don't know what to do, look in yourself and start healing. The more you heal, the more signs come in, the more direction is thrown your way. It's kind of like if you need another breadcrumb, when you start healing something, another breadcrumb follows. And so we all need it. Even if you don't know where this big old cake is, right? You're going to get breadcrumbs that help lead you there. And my time I wanted the whole cake, and I'm like, oh my gosh, little did I know that if I would have, ate the whole cake, I would have been in big trouble. So some of us want all the answers, and that would be great if we can give them all to you. But part of this amazing journey is to learn how to find those answers for yourself, and to allow yourself to apply them to the life that you're living right now. And then also to have the ones that are needed for you, for your particular assignment, because we all have different assignments. So with that being said, I'm hoping that this helps answer a couple questions. If it sparks additional questions, please let me know and we'll get those taken care of for you. Thank you guys so much for being here today. I love you guys. Thank you for your support. Thank you for listening. I'm looking forward to chatting with you guys really soon. Have an amazing day. And as always, thank you so much for being here.